What can you tell us about sex trafficking, just off the top of your head?
As in the definition?
Yeah, just what
Anything you know.
Yeah, anything you know about it.
That it's a prolific problem that is an issue that doesn't necessarily get enough attention, but is affecting young women's lives. I don't know if it's actually a women-only issue, but throughout the world, probably 10 to 18, 20, 25.
I don't know. I guess I don't think about it that often.
Immigrants,
Yeah,
poor
immigrants.
people that can be taken advantage of.
I definitely think of poor countries. I think of Eastern Europe. I think of, South America, Mexico.
Thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people fall victim to it every year here. It's unfortunate, but hopefully it's something that can be fixed.
For most people, you never consider having to exchange sex in order to get your basic needs of life. It's not an option.
So commercial sexual exploitation occurs when anything of value, like shelter, money, of course, drugs, is exchanged for a commercial sex act. That can be sex, that can be sensual massage, stripping, exotic dancing, pole dancing, phone sex, hotlines, anything like that. And commercial sexual exploitation is harmful because it distorts, it exploits, it abuses our innate need for love and belonging.
You wonder if you're going to make a mistake. The violence by men who seek to purchase paid sex from women, they're becoming increasingly more violent. But the role, I think, of women today is changing. A lot of people think of an exploiter or a pimp in a certain fashion.
I had a friend who I worked with who was trafficked to Bangkok, Thailand from Uzbekistan. And at one point she was offered to become what they call there a mama-san, which is basically a trafficker, a controller is another word they use.
Would you believe me if I said I was a pimp? Would you believe me if I told you that it was very easy for me to walk into a mall and offer young girls a music video?
And she goes, Courtney, I don't want to do it, but I don't want to keep having to do this dirty work. And I told her, I said, I don't want you to do it, but I don't blame you if you do. Because to be the exploiter is better than being the exploited. Again, these are women who have good hearts. They know right from wrong. They know that they shouldn't be doing it. But when it comes down to, I have to survive, they'll start making decisions that they wouldn't normally make.
There was a need in my house. There was a lack of food, a lack of clothing, a lack of love. So it caused me to be vulnerable. A lot of times we look for pimps and johns to be in a car or some type of transportation, and they look a certain kind of way, and they're out luring girls. For me, I always said that deprivation was my pimp.
We consider the issue of human trafficking like in the basic laws of economics. If you take away the demand for a product, the supply will go down. No buyers, no business.
And so to look at it holistically, we need to address it in 4 ways. One is through prevention, intervention, restoration, and education. So prevention would be preventing individuals from entering the sex industry, as well as preventing people from buying sex or being a part of the demand. Intervention would be outreaches like what we do here. We do Princess Night, we do Encounter, where we go into strip clubs, brothels, streets, motels, and build relationships with men and women who are working in the sex industry.
I was in court one day, and a young girl came through, and she was identified as a prostitute. And she was being sentenced based on her lifestyle. But the guy who committed the crime against her, he wasn't being charged. So the courts decided to do something about that because they didn't like the way legislative was going against the children. And that's when I realized at that moment as a grown woman that I was really a victim.
It's my hope that we not only will create a space where kids will feel safe to disclose that abuse, But I hope that we can create a world where law enforcement responds, our prosecutors respond, our child welfare system responds, our school system responds, and everybody recognizes that it's not this child's fault. It's not the victim's fault. It's not the woman's fault. It's not the trans woman's fault. When people tell me that we're never going to end this, I tell people that it was a few short years ago where people who looked just like I look had to sit in the back of the bus. It was a few short years ago when people who look like I look were not allowed to get an education. I don't sit at the back of the bus, and I am very well educated. And if we can do that in these short amount of years, then I am confident that we can end human trafficking.